strikes.
All right. All right. You guys ready? No, why am I asking? Y'all ready, kids? Hello, guys. All right, so welcome. This is not social. I should probably put it up so they can see me. Let's do it like this. I'll do something up there now. All right. So we're doing I don't like that actually. We're doing song mixing today. So vocal mixing is very important. So today's lesson on vocal mixing. But first, we're gonna have our spotlight artist of this week, Arvin. So if you want to come up over here, introduce yourself, and do a little performance for us.
Hey,
Woo woo, woo woo! Give it up, Arvin. Give it up, Arvin. You can just give us like.
But who knows? It's been a while. Okay. Well, hello. This song is called Blue Moon. It's very much so a work in progress. I do plan on like tweaking some of the lyrics and some of the melody, but the lyrics and melody and chords are like probably going to stay very similar to what it is. Right now, the beats they're kind of ugly in my opinion. I just did something random, so yeah.
All right.
Yo, why does this look like analog horror type? Like, I don't know, like the way you're moving the camera.
I know. I don't know why the camera is such a weird vibe today. It's
Okay.
like different.
It's the lighting.
It's the lighting. All right.
Are you ready for me to start it? Yes. Okay. I started it.
The moon is blue and soft and white. The river scrolling through the vast ocean. Is it that the tides always it's just too much, can't be and let it play, even after tragedy. Oh, I tell a boring soul the beauty of the I have so much. My mind is the movement. I want to let go of the constant stream that the river brings. Desiring joy so rare as gold, even after chasing so hard. I still choose more of the pain, even so. I just want a pleasant life where I can stare at the moon and the sea without all of these thoughts. Do I need to settle for the grind? Is that the only way? Is that the only way? If our blood bled blue, then how would we see the red moon that we shadow on summer nights? What it means that we are still flowing in and out with all our doubts, circling round and round, no end to it.
Let's kick it off. The boy Kevin will kick it off for us. Oh, take care. They'll be back. Do we?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think we do have an announcement.
Obviously still sign up for Spotlight Artists, sign up for studio recording.
Yes.
We have 2 more meetings after this. Maybe 3, but we think we're only gonna do 2. We don't think we're gonna meet again after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We're not entirely sure what we're doing for the last 2 meetings yet. Well, we will let you guys know.
Recording related.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think we have any announcements. Other than
Sign up for spots if you have something drafted out that you want to
Yes. record.
record. All right. Take it away,
Alright.
Kevin.
All right, let me get an idea of the audience of who's here. Who here is more of like a producer slash mixer, or wants to learn more about like stuff like vocal mixing in general? All right. Okay. Who here would say they're like advanced at it, or say they like kind of know what they're doing? All right, I got you. Okay, so today, when I was creating this lesson, I actually was thinking about the right way to go about it, because vocal mixing, in my opinion, is the hardest part about making a song, in my opinion. That's what I just struggle with the most personally. And there is a reason why everyone last meeting asked for a vocal mixing lesson. I'm not gonna go particularly into detail about vocal chains, how to EQ vocals, et cetera, because that is a long, extensive information that I'd rather like put you in the right direction of resources that can break down certain components better than what I can do in like 30 minutes. But I'm gonna give an overall review of what you want to hear in a vocal mix, what you're looking for, and general rules that can go into any vocal mix. Let's go to the next slide. So legacy, we're at mixing now on the timeline. What is vocal mixing? The vocal is the most prominent part of a song in most genres. You hear the vocals the most, and a bad vocal mix can make or break a song. It is very weird process of transferring like a live recording into a song that's just distributed to like multiple platforms and etc. And figuring out how to create a vocal that's prominent on headphones, on speakers, on sound systems, etc. could take a while to learn. But I think vocal mixing is easy to learn when you're beginning off. I think you can get a clean sounding vocal mix with very minimal practice. It's hard to master, and there is a reason why professionals get paid like lots of money just to do vocal mixing by itself. Like Tom has a guy that just only does his vocals. And also vocal mixing is subjective to the song you're working on. This is a thing I see a lot with beginners. People will go online and buy like presets of vocal mixes and vocal presets basically. And I think while that is fine for short term and to just get into the process of creating, I think overall like you're not learning until you create your own vocal chain. And if you're just like putting someone else's preset on your box, you're gonna not understand what's happening, what to tweak, and at the end of the day, you're not gonna get a better sound. So take some time to learn what each plugin, what each component is doing, and how it's shaping your vocal. And I'm gonna be going over the things that you want to look for in a vocal mix. So first, I think there's like 6 C's of vocal mixing. The first is correction. When you're starting off the vocal mix, everyone knows what auto-tune is. Basically, auto-tune is an automated form of pitch correction, which is electronic effects unit or audio software that changes the intonation of an audio signal. The intonation is just that, basically. And auto-tune shapes it to hit certain notes or certain keys through an algorithm. Most people use auto-tune and just let it happen automatically. When you're working on a more high professional level, or when you're trying to tweak the auto-tune to be more accurate, sometimes you'll go into pitch correction like Melodyne or something like that. I think everyone uses Melodyne to fix the audio when the auto-tune sometimes breaks. Auto-tune isn't perfect, and not everyone likes or uses auto-tune. So if you don't want to use auto-tune for vocal mixing, I just recommend singing on pitch and on key. And like, yeah, if you don't, I mean,
One or the other.
it's one or the other. You gotta sing on pitch or you gotta turn on the auto-tune.
Preferably both, honestly. 'Cause
Yeah.
auto-tune can't fix. It can't fix.
It
that stuff.
can. Like, auto-tune is only gonna like try to push you in the direction of where it thinks it wants you to go. If you're singing off key, auto-tune is like if you're trying to sing a D and like you're hitting like an F and you're in like C major, you're gonna be put at the F. Like auto-tune's not gonna care. So did that make sense what I just said? Okay. So I'm gonna move
Yeah,
on.
say that question.
Oh, my fault.
I was just gonna say, I recorded something a few weeks ago where like, I don't like how my voice sounds with autotune, but what we did was we like recorded with autotune so that it would tell us if I was off. So then we'd know to go back and record it. So
Mhm.
the thing is like, if you don't wanna use it to like change your voice, you can still use it as a recording and then it'll say, oh, you were off here, and you're like, okay, let me go back and record it and make sure it's still on.
Yeah.
So it's a really useful tool in that way too.
Yeah, and even natural artists that sound like they don't use autotune, they still might use pitch correction. And somebody might go into the file and like do little tweaks here and there. Cause like they're generally like most artists that are talented sing on pitch, but sometimes like you don't want to have a whole nother recording session and you had a really one good take that had a lot of emotion and you don't want to go back. So it really just depends on the situation. There are free autotunes and free pitch correctors that come with your DAW usually. But I have some recommendations at the end. All right, the next C is still correction and it's explosives. When we taught singing like a few weeks ago, we talked about explosives and how like it's when the like the T's and the D's and the P's, the burst of air that hits the microphone's capsule causing issues like popping noises, stuff like that. There is a way other than learning how to sing better without using so many explosives. There is a way to like remove those explosives. Those devices are called a de-esser that kind of gets most of the explosives away. It's a algorithmic that detects like the frequency of where explosive usually resides and you can tweak that frequency. There's a noise gate. So like when you're not fully singing and maybe you're mumbling or like you pop with your mouth and it like a low sounding volume sound, it cuts that and it's like a gate that cuts all low sounds, stuff in the background, etc. Some people like their noise gate higher than others. It makes their vocal kind of more choppy, but that depends on the listener. And there's also EQing. If you have like explosives and like T's and tisses, you might want to turn down your high end a bit. Did that make sense to everybody? Any questions? All right. Now there's compression. Compression reduces the distance between the lowest and the loudest part of the vocal. We talked about compression last week and even done some compression. But with vocal mixing, it's different. It's like completely different because compression is an artistic choice too. You gotta know when you want a vocal to sound more prominent and more loud consistently, and you want something with more dynamics. You want to go from quiet to loud to quiet. I have an example of someone that has very bad compression and correction in a second, so you'll be able to hear it. And if you want to know what good compression is, listen to any like song on the radio. Like yeah. So I don't know if this will play. I think it will play. Can't load this audio right now. Interesting. My friend recently released the album and they gave me permission to use their music as an example for this. Once yeah, well like they gave me permission though. And they said like and I work with them and this is like low-key the demo version of it. So they said, yeah, this has very bad compression, and you'll be able to hear it. I might just play off my phone. You'll still be able to hear it. Cause for some reason it's not working here. And it also kind of goes to show like, wait, can I connect to the speaker? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
bet. I think, is it the STR or DH? I bet. Think I'm good. Like this beat isn't bad, and it really goes to show like how vocal mixing is so important. And like his flow isn't bad, and what he's saying isn't bad either. But just because of how his voice sits in the mix, it won't like, you'll see what I mean.
I don't feel like I always do it. The only email that if you want a heart attack, I'm making sure I'm never pressing, making sure you don't look like they come from me. I won't come back to them. My number's got mad. It is full of words that mean nothing. That the place is mad. I'm love. I'm gonna be on your company now. What you gonna shake up like your mom?
All right. So, yes, you can hear what he's saying, and like everything is clear, but his vocals are not sitting well in the beat, and it sounds like he's just talking over the beat because he has no compression. Even though it's clear, you can hear him. And so like, even though if you have a good setup and a good recording studio and you have a good like, yeah, no problem. Okay, that's like, yeah, okay. So I don't have his version, but I can just play any rap song, to be honest. You have Spotify?
So is it like,
You can pull up on the app.
Yeah, I wasn't able to hear compression for a while. So like, if you don't hear it, yeah. If you don't hear compression instantly, it's okay because it does take a while to like listen out for. Usually before and after videos are better ways of learning and how to hear it. It's really how the vocal sits in the mix too. I could show a before and after video that I found low-key that might be more useful for hearing the difference.
so it's like with that, to me, it sounded like
Mm-hmm.
he was like singing it live
Yeah.
almost. Is that like what you mean? Like
Yes.
it sounds kind of out of place.
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
like,
song is in the same environment that he's singing.
yeah, that's
okay.
kind of what it was. Cause like you can still hear him and he sounds good,
Mhm.
but he doesn't sound like he's in the song.
Okay.
And usually that's what you're trying to go for. Cause like if that was a live recording, that would have been fine, but you need to mix it into the song and
Yeah.
compression helps with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
The beat fire though.
The beat was
Yeah.
crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Like, what is T play? Oh, like, boom. Let's play bounce back. Big
Oh my
Pong.
That's a throwback, bro.
Okay, I'm using my
Yeah,
phone.
these are phones, yeah.
I don't know why I even did that.
I didn't even think about it.
YouTube is gonna mute this too because of copyright.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is what it is.
That's great. That's great.
Bounce back. It's actually kind of similar.
Because I'm home, I'm vibing, not worried if my phone, no, leave me alone, me on my own. My dog on the private for the public house, here, 1,000 songs, that's like a fair amount of everything I do.
From the lyrics.
The last one.
The last one, so you can.
Yeah. All right.
Like think about how like the way the part look, and like it's in reality, if there's no compression, there's no way it's as loud as everything else he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that, like what you're saying, when you're going to look, and like when you're speaking, it's like it's totally different, and then like when you hear on the track, it's like you know compression, there it is.
Yeah, now hear this,
I
man.
just feel suicide, and it's do or die, and you can either run or I just don't want to waste that you guys no longer need this. This guy's gonna find out DP then now it's into my own. I have
Back to Big Sean.
right, man, betting on me is the right, red, sleeping in a fucking crisis. I'm never on the side, man. I'm just here to the night, man. I can have come and lie, man.
Okay, that's not a fair comparison because he is Big Sean, but like still, like, you hear it better now?
I think
Yeah.
more reverb almost too, because it seemed like the other guy had like nothing on that.
Yes, and we're gonna get. Yeah, there's more to it, and we're gonna get into it. It's not just compression, but compression was the main problem, in my opinion. But yeah, so when you hear your vocals like that, so even if you don't know like how to actually like fix it, and you can learn it through YouTube, and like I could teach it to you personally, etc. When you're in the studio with your vocal engineer or your producer, and you're asking them, could you add compression to my vocals? Now you can be able to hear it and hear what's wrong with your vocals. That's kind of the goal of this lesson, to be able to hear what's wrong and to be able to like vocalize it and say it to somebody, even if you're not going to be the one to fix it. The next I would say is color. Color is very important. I think that's a thing a lot of people get wrong too. Vocal timbre is like, not timbre, that's something else, but like it's the tonal quality and so-called tone color that defines a given singing voice. Like the difference between like a Taylor Swift and a Billie Eilish is not just their vocal ability and how they sing, it's also how they're mixed as well, and how warmer tones can feel more intimate and more intense, and lighter tones can feel more distant and maybe more aggressive. Billie Eilish is a great example of that, actually. I'll play that real quick.
I was gonna say, can you like name an artist with warmer and one with lighter?
Yeah, I haven't listened to Billie Eilish in a while, but yeah. Yeah. I would say these are more warmer tones than usually you hear from Billie Eilish.
Look at the last.
And then like this song, I would say like this is more lighter tones. Even the same artist is able to achieve different colors in their vocal by the way it's mixed. And they're the same artist with the same singing ability, but the way their voice is EQ'd, the way their voice is saturated through saturation plugins, writers, etc. That's important for like what song you're trying to make and what song you're trying to create. And I'll give recommendations at the end of how you can achieve this through plugins. But any questions on color? Okay. Now is comfort. I think comfort is another thing that is usually the first thing you should look out for. Harsh sounding sibilants in recordings is pretty common, from like harsh frequencies that pop in your ear. Whenever you're in the car and like maybe the bass is way too muddy. Have you ever heard a car drive by and it's like, yeah, that's like bad bass mix. And like the opposite would be, have you ever listened to a song in your headphones and it's like attacking your ears and it's not because it's too loud? That's like bad high-end comfort. You take care of this by taking care of your explosives, your de-essing, and also just EQing and being more aware of how your song is going to sound on different sound systems. Because just because your song sounds fine in your AirPods doesn't mean it's going to sound fine on the speakers. And that's with testing and comparison, and also learning how bass works in your vocal fits in the bass of like a car versus your vocal fits in the bass of your headphones. You kind of have to just compare and contrast. But to get rid of vocal lack of comfort, do de-essing, sharp EQing around regions where they reside. I recommend ProQ for this, if you know what that is. ProQ has this ability to like detect high frequencies automatically, and you can do sharp EQ dips, which is what I do. I do like generally when I was doing correction earlier, I would do for correction large EQ dips or more wide and expansed. And for comfort and getting rid of those harsh sounding frequencies, I would do more sharp EQ dips. Next is the character of your vocals, how we place our vocals in space with reverb and delay. This kind of is more a creative production choice. We talked about reverb last week, so I'll go over delay real quick. Delay is like an echo effect, basically. This can fill up your vocals in a space. This could like lead to ad libs. If you listen to rap, some people got ad libs with delay. Even like big artists where you don't think they have much reverb and delay, it's very subtle in the background, and it just helps your vocals sit on the track. This dude, sorry to use this guy again.
That my teacher's been getting right every between a fucking lizard. Now this will take this and I can't.
He has no reverb or delay, and it's kind of obvious. If he like put a little bit, not that he has to, not that everyone needs it, but it would help him sit in the mix better. But I think what he needs more is compression. But reverb and delay does help. Don't do it too much though, because some people like overdo it because it's kind of like a crutch, because like it literally blends your vocals in with the mix. And unless you're trying to create like shoegaze or something like spacey, try to be light on the reverb and delay. Next is compare and check. I think this is the last step. At each stage, it's really important to compare the before and after. In plugins, there will be A and B switches where you can test out different settings and you can switch really easily between them. There's also plugins called like references where you can reference tracks side by side. Also, just listen to the music you like and the music you're trying to imitate, and you'll be able to recreate the vocal mix you're trying to go for by listening to how they take care of their high end. Are they going for warmer colors or more distant colors? Try to listen out for like the things I talked about today and identify that in the music you listen to, and you'll be able to be like, all right, I'm looking for more of their character. Now I know how to look up how to do that type of reverb or how to do that type of delay, or I'm looking more for their type of correction. I like how to use autotune a lot, or I like how to use minimal autotune, etc. And I just gave some good free plugins. TDR Nova is a really good de-esser. It's almost as good as industry standard, and it's free. I would use that. Camel Crusher is good for saturation and color. Supermassive is good for reverb and character. Fresh Air, another good plugin. This is low-key a game changer. This helps with brightness and color, and like if you have trouble with your vocals standing out on a mix, Fresh Air is pretty good. And M-Auto Pitch is one of the few free autotunes I could find. I used to use it, but now I use other autotunes that I paid for. And you can get pretty much a whole stack of plugins through Melida Production. There's a free bundle, and it low-key gives you everything you need to get a okay, clean vocal mix. Don't try to throw in a bunch of money before you learn. Try to like learn with like the basic tools, learn with what your DAW already gives you. Just because you see somebody in a YouTube video use this $200 plugin doesn't mean you need to buy that $200 plugin. Just stick to learning and actually understanding how vocal mixing works. And then if you want to make that an investment, take that step. And yeah, any questions overall? It's okay if it's like a dumb question. Like I'll take any question. I think legacy overall.
Legacy overall is cat.
Yeah. Has anybody ever recorded a song before, or like in like in a studio or session such as that? Okay. Yeah, I guess this is more applicable for people at home that are like watching this that wanted to learn about vocal mixing but couldn't come today. When you're in the studio, you can always ask your vocal engineer if they're good to help you out of learning these things. That's important. But like yeah, like if you ever have questions, just ask the person you're working with. And if you're trying to learn alone, there's a lot of good resources on YouTube. I'm gonna put it all on the website of more specifics of YouTubers I watch to get better at vocal mixing. Because I'm basically all self-taught. So it is possible to like completely teach yourself this stuff. It is hard though. And it is okay if you go out and pay somebody to do it because there are just people way better at it. And if that's like, if vocal mixing is hindering your creative process, then it's important to just get to creating music and releasing music. So if you want to make that investment in yourself, go ahead. If anyone wants a more in-depth version where we're actually mixing a vocal, I can record that and upload it to Legacy separately. I just didn't want to waste or bore anyone that didn't understand the DAW like that. But if anyone wants that, I can go into more depth about that in a different video. And yeah, I think that's it, to be honest. Yeah.
Nice. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess we can just collaborate on some stuff like always. If you guys have any ideas, we can do that. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Tom, did you want to add this too?
Thank you all for coming. I know we have a small group today. It's okay. The studio's not available right now because Colin reserved the space.
They're cooking up.
Yes, they're cooking up, so no studio today, but you can sign up for studio time. And yeah, I guess we're going to stop and then we'll come back at 7:30. If anybody wants, yeah, if anybody wants to share what they come up with today.
Yeah.
So yeah.
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 That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end it.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Stop. Stop sharing.
Yeah. Stop sharing.
Yeah, stop sharing. And then, so you see that little, I got you. That little box. Yeah.
Stop recording.
Stop recording.